We have Krishan Kaul here, and he is a member of our Sai Center. Well, we feel very honored to have you part of our Sai family. There's always a wealth of information whenever you've visited with us, whether it be through the Gayatri sessions or just genuine satsang after a bhajan. So it's always nice to have new members, but in your situation, I feel like you come to us with a wealth of knowledge.
Well, it's my privilege, and you see, we are part of a large Sai family, and we're just together like brothers and sisters, and in a Sai family.
Very true. So why don't we start off with, if everyone knows, this is our 95 by 95 project, and so I invite you to kind of share what first comes to mind when you hear about that kind of project.
Okay, let me start from the very beginning. How I turned towards Swami. It was way back in 1974. I was in London, and me and my friends, we had started a cricket club. So over the weekends, mostly Sundays, I used to play cricket. Shivni would accompany me sometimes, but most of the time she would get bored. We had our friends, Sarafs, living down south of London. They would come up North London, pick her up and go to attend a bhajan. One Sunday, our match was cancelled, I think on account of rain. So they asked me, what are you going to do? I said, I'll come along as well for the bhajan. So I went and attended the bhajan. Now this was after many, many years, I had the occasion of attending a bhajan. And it was absolutely wonderful. The sort of devotion that was poured through heartfelt bhajans was absolutely wonderful, and it was very uplifting. It was a unique experience for me. And so that is what started it. And I began to read Sai literature, whatever literature I could get hold of, Swami's discourses and any other book that I could lay my hands on. I started reading that. And with every passing day, I felt that this was the real McCoy. What I have been thirsting to come across one day is here. And the spontaneity of that uncontrived truth was staring me in the face. So I was taken in, and with every passing day, the conviction that Swami was indeed a divinity in human form got strengthened. This conviction of mine got strengthened every passing day. And I started attending bhajans regularly at the center, nearby center. 2-3 months into my going to the center, one Saturday I had a phone call from the president of the center. We used to address him as Pitaji out of respect. He was an elderly person, great devotee of Swami. Whenever you mentioned Swami, you would see 2 teardrops in his eyes. That was his sort of one-to-one relationship with Swami. So he rings me up on a Saturday and he says, Krishan, are you willing to become Sevadar convener for UK? I went quiet. And after quite a few seconds, he says to me, are you still there? I said, yes. Why have you gone quiet? I said, what you have asked me, I don't know anything about Sai organization. So if I said yes, I would let you down. So I didn't want to do that, so I was quiet. He said, I didn't ask you whether you'd be able to do it or not. He said, I don't know either. You don't know, but together we can find out. All I asked you was, are you willing? I said, willingness I have. He said, that's fine. So then he gave me a booklet on Seva, that I started reading it and so on and so forth. Anyway, this was 74. Early in 75, January 75, Indulal Shah, who was the then president, world president of Sathya Sai organization, he came to UK on his as part of his world tour. He contacted us and he said that you must formally start an organization here and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, what we had done was we had founded council, UK council, with 4 members and the president. Mr. Sitaram, whom we called Pitaji, he was the president, and he had 4 other, assistants, so to speak, or conveners helping him. And I was the Seva convener for whole of UK. So he gave us some information and so on and so forth. And if you recall, in 75, there was going to be the Golden Jubilee year and Second World Conference. So he said to us that bring as many devotees as you can, as many delegates as you can. And we were able to take with us 120 delegates from the UK. Now, the day we arrived in Prashanti, the very next day, there was going to be All India Sevadal Conference. Now, although it was a world conference, but because there was no organization as such, let alone Sevadal outside of India, this was All India Sevadal Conference on that day. And because I was Sevadal convener, I was up till late. We were housed in Ishwarama school, and I was up till late jotting down notes. So that tomorrow is the conference. If I have the occasion of meeting, talking to someone, I'll get certain doubts clear. Went into Poonchhandra auditorium, and I found myself seated about maybe 15th row from the stage. And you know, right in the middle, there's that aisle separating ladies and gents. Right? So I was sitting next to that aisle, about 15th row from the stage, watching the stage. And I closed my eyes, and suddenly the thought comes to me, I'm going to be face to face with my Maker. And when I look into the corridors of my life, there's so much dross. How am I going to clean it? For Swami to be seated in my heart, in the sanctum sanctorum of my heart. I have nothing to clean it with, except my tears. And of course, tears started rolling down my cheeks. Funny thing is that with these tears, I felt as if the weight, the heaviness that was weighted on me for many lifetimes was getting lighter and lighter. All that weight was being lifted, and I was feeling lighter and lighter and lighter. And tears rolling down, but I feeling lighter. So suddenly the music stopped, and I opened my eyes, and I see Swami on the stage. He had reached the stage, sat in his throne. Again, I looked at him for a few minutes and closed my eyes again, for the same reason as I explained earlier. What happened thereafter is very interesting. I'm just sitting in my seat with my eyes closed, and someone has passed by me, and that person's right foot was touching my right thigh. Right foot was touching my left thigh. So without opening my eyes, I shifted a little bit like this. But then this contact is there again. I shifted again. Now I'm almost on top of the person to my left. So I was forced to open my eyes. I opened my eyes, Swami is standing there. Now I had the scarf around my neck, Sevadal scarf. And I had read in one of his discourses before coming to Prashanti that unless Swami specifically permits you to touch his feet, you must not. Especially if you are a Sevadal volunteer. So I was like this, looking at him and like this. He knew I wouldn't break the discipline, so he was making the contact. So that was my first sparshan with Swami. Yeah. So he stood there for a few minutes, then he walked past me and then back. And I closed my eyes again, and he was seated on the stage. Now, very interesting thing. What happens is, sitting on the stage is Swami in his throne, and to his right, squatting on the stage, is Indulal Shah. And to the right of Indulal Shah is Dr. Bhagwantam. And I had my eyes closed, but suddenly I opened my eyes. Now, I'm not looking at Swami, I'm looking at Indulal Shah. He started whispering something in the ear of Dr. Bhagwantam. And I have this feeling, he is talking about me. Why should he? Who am I? He's talking about me. And this Dr. Bhagwantam goes like this. Then he turns towards Swami, whispers something. And again this feeling, this fixation, he's talking about me. And Swami goes, yes. And thereafter, Indulal Shah is trying to catch my eyes and by gestures asking me whether you would like to speak. I said yes. Because this was all India Sevadal Conference, and all conveners from various states of India were asked to give their report. And at the end, Krishan Kaul, Sevadal convener from UK. So I got up from a seat, sidestepped on the aisle, made my obeisance there to Swami, and started walking towards the lectern. As I approached the lectern, Swami got up from his throne and went inside. So I was naturally a little bit downhearted. Anyway, so when I said my humble pranams at the lotus feet of Swami, and I looked towards that chair, which I thought was empty, Swami came out back again, bless 3 times, heard me out, whatever I had to say, and then bless again, and then got to walk. Now, there were 25,000 people jam-packed in Purnachandra Auditorium, let alone 300,000 people who had descended on the hamlet of Puttaparthi from all over the world. What gave me the idea of all people that they are talking about me? Yeah. Right. I was only too aware of my insignificance. So this was not any idea of grandeur on my part or self-importance on my part, because I was only too aware of my minuscule presence in that ocean of humanity there. But because there was a purpose behind it, Swami was trying to encourage the fledgling Sevadal in UK, of which I was a part. So I became instrumental in that. Just that, nothing else. Nothing else. So Swami behaved as if he didn't know anything. You know, we were doing, but he knew everything. He was running the whole show in a manner which would not create any disturbance. Everything else was going on smoothly.
Right.
We have got to recognize that fact, that Swami is the doer, we're only his instruments. When we really and truly believe in that, then we open ourselves up to anything that he will want us to carry out, that he will want us to do. I think that's important. That's one thing that I've learned over the years.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Krishan Kaul.
My privilege. My privilege.